guys, it's Tara and I'm here with my friend Star, and we're going to talk to you guys today about binge eating because we've both dealt with binge eating, and it's kind of our way that we dealt with food and dealt with life in the past with our past lifestyles and with the high carb raw and high carb cooked lifestyles. And so I know a lot of you are dealing with binge eating out there, and we thought it was a really important topic to talk about, so that's what we're here for today. So thanks so much for coming. I really appreciate you willing to share your story and talk to everybody about binge eating.
Thank you for having me. No. It's truly an honor.
It's all good.
I love you. I love your channel. So
right back at you.
Yay!
So. This is really important to us because in the high carb community, personally from what I've seen, and the reason that I came to this lifestyle was that I could eat all the food I wanted. And as a binger, for me, that was like, yeah, I mean, it's an immediate sell when I heard eat all the calories I care for. That's all I ever dreamed of, and that's all I ever wanted to be able to do. And so it was kind of like a dream come true. Was it like that for you when you first found this?
Honestly, when I first found this lifestyle, like a big attraction was the fact that I could eat unlimited calories. I could eat all that I cared for. I didn't have to worry about gaining weight. I didn't have to worry about consuming too much. It was kind of like this holy grail for me.
Yeah, me
and
too.
I was like, I found it. Yeah. Like, this is it. I can just eat all day long and it doesn't matter and everything is wonderful. And I've gone in waves with this lifestyle, and I really am passionate about healthy, clean eating.
Yeah.
But I'm also passionate about a healthy, clean mind, and I'm really passionate about being fully authentic and honest with myself first and foremost. And for me, you know, I probably ate high carb for a few years in denial about like that I was harming myself by my binge eating behaviors and just continually perpetuating the cycle. And I would really kind of isolate myself and numb myself from the world with it. And
with food, you mean? By
food,
eating alone and
by eating alone, by spending my time with myself, eating alone. And I convinced myself that it was okay and that it was good and healthy because of the lifestyle, and it was healthy food.
Yeah. Just because it's healthy food, automatically everything is healthy, and all of your eating disordered habits go away magically, right?
That's what I was hoping for.
Yeah. Theoretically, that's great, but can you tell us a little bit about your past with binge eating and what you dealt with and what led you to try to find this lifestyle? What kind of motivated you to change your health and to try to search for something better? What was it?
Right. So basically I was raised a vegan and vegetarian. So I came from a health background, not high carb, but my mom has been a macrobiotic chef. She's been a vegan raw food chef. And so I was raised kind of going to school eating brown rice nori rolls when all the kids were eating Lunchables. I absolutely hated it. Like, I just wanted to shop at Safeway like everyone else.
Normal food, right?
Yeah, I just wanted normal food. So when I was 6 years old, I screamed at my mom and I was like, I want cheese. And we started eating cheese. And so I was basically a vegetarian until I was like 16, and then I rebelled and I ate complete crap until I was 19. Started working at Cafe Gratitude, which, if you don't know, it's a raw, organic, vegan restaurant.
It's great.
And it inspired me to want to be healthy again. And so that inspired me. And I also want to say that I really started experimenting with drugs and like alcohol and just using all of these substances, really not caring about my body, and it's kind of gone in waves. So anyways, working at Cafe Gratitude, inspired to get healthy again. And then I ended up moving to LA and I started working at this pizza restaurant, which that inspired me. I'm like, pizza, I don't ever want to eat pizza. So I was like, I'm definitely vegan. My vegan journey has definitely gone in waves throughout my whole entire life. So 20 years old, working at this pizza restaurant, definitely going to be vegan. And I started really becoming aware of myself and of my thoughts. Something happened which sparked like an initial curiosity to find out information on the internet. And I was just exposed to all this information. Eventually it led me to Freely. And mind you, during this time I had stopped using drugs, I had stopped drinking alcohol, and I started turning to food. And so
as a
that
coping
was,
mechanism?
yeah, as a coping mechanism.
Interesting.
For everything else, and it just kind of, all my like addictive behaviors and escape behaviors really turned to food. I had to like leave all my friends, so I was just this solo little unit kind of figuring out my mind and everything, and food was a huge comfort for me.
Yeah. I think that's part of it with binging, is that food is such a comfort, and you just eventually use it to numb yourself out, and you don't know anything else. So you just go back to it again and again and again, and because you need to eat, it just perpetuates the cycle of binging. That
really, really has been true in my own kind of personal journey. And so I found Freely, and I found this high carb lifestyle, and I am passionate about it, and I believe in it truly. But for me, it was like, it was the Holy Grail to fuel me being able to binge and to lock myself alone and to just eat food all day and to convince myself that it was healthy, when it was like, honestly, I would eat to the point where like I was so full, like I couldn't do anything. I couldn't exercise. I couldn't even move. And I would just keep doing it. And I wouldn't hang out with people. It was just like,
it wasn't healthy.
It wasn't healthy. And I think that there needs to be like an understanding that
a line drawn.
Eating enough and eating to the point where you're satiated and you feel good and you have energy to do what you need to do is fantastic. Eating to the point where you are limiting your experience of life, binging, is what I'm talking about. And I think that for a lot of people, they need to eat more than they were eating before. Lots of people are drawn to this lifestyle from restriction. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm not trying to...
You're talking about discomfort, where you are literally numbing yourself out. And numbing out your friends, numbing out your life. Basically with food.
Exactly. Yeah. So, you know, that continued for a couple years, just completely limiting my experience of the world and just consuming food as like, you get in a habit and it's like you're releasing these neurochemicals in your brain. It's like, it feels good
to eat past the point of what you actually need.
It does. It feels
and it's easy
good.
to do. I think
so easy.
I think that's the problem, is that people come to the raw food lifestyle or the high carb cooked, right? Because you still eat some cooked food, and that's great. But people come to this lifestyle expecting that just eat all the calories you want and all of that eating disorder behavior will go away because you're finally satiated. But that isn't necessarily true, and you can't just numb yourself out with food. Sometimes you need to deal with what's going on upstairs, what's going on inside. You need to deal with that, and it doesn't just go away simply because you're eating healthy food. It's a very common myth, and something I've dealt with myself as well. So.
Exactly. It's a mental thing, and it's really just, nobody can tell you your experience of life. It's like, you know, I see a lot of people kind of poo-poo binging, saying that it can't exist on this lifestyle. And I understand, like, that's real for them. That's real for them. They don't think that. They can't comprehend that. For me, that's not real for me.
It's completely different.
Yeah, for me, it's been a struggle for years. Like, that's not, I get binging. Like, I've dealt with it. I deal with it, and it doesn't just magically disappear. You have to be present with yourself, and you have to be conscious of like your choices and what you're doing and like what you're putting into your body, and like, am I full? Like, it's just so much more than just eating super clean and healthy. And
I absolutely agree. I think you need to be in tune with your body, but again, most people go, what the hell does that mean? What does it mean to be in tune? I don't know what my body wants. I don't know what it needs, because you've never known. And because when you are in this perpetual cycle of binging, especially when you don't purge, I feel that there's a lot of guilt associated with it. Personally, for myself, I've experienced that with binging. And in the beginning, it can be really tough to know what your body needs, what your body wants, and trying to decipher those signals. It's like a completely different language you've never spoken before, right?
It's true.
And in a minute, we're going to talk about what we each personally do, positive and negative, to avoid binging and to try to fix this cycle in our own lives. And I just want to share a little bit of my story, because you guys have seen before that I tend towards binging, right? And I said in the past, when I was younger, that I always wish I had the willpower to purge, right? To be bulimic or something like that. Because I always felt this guilt around binging. And when I would binge, I felt like I needed to get it out of me, and then I had to deal with the consequences afterwards of the weight gain, of the mental run around that I would do in my brain, and this guilt trap and the constant berating of myself and feeling so guilty. And it started for me as a child because I used food as a friend, right? I didn't have many friends. I was bullied a lot because I was the fat kid, and I always associated with that. And that's the image that I painted for myself, the picture that I painted for myself. And I always used food. It was my go-to. It always made me feel better. It didn't judge me. It didn't make fun of me. You know? I mean, it was always there for me. It made me feel good.
It's always there.
What's not to like? I was the cookie monster. And yeah, and that just went into my teen years. And then each time I dieted and restricted, I would go on this binge cycle afterwards, but I would hate myself for it because I never felt like I had the strength to get rid of what was in my body, what I was putting. I always, as sick and demented as it sounds, I envied bulimics because I went, at least they're getting rid of the problem. I mean, obviously I don't feel that way anymore, but I was so frustrated because I couldn't stop the binging cycle and I wanted to do something about it, but I felt I couldn't do anything about it. Maybe some of you are relating. I hope some of you are relating to what we're talking about here and we don't sound like crazy people. But yeah, and then I thought, okay, I found the high carb lifestyle. I was like, yeah, this is it. You mean I can eat all I want all the time? And it didn't quite work out that way for me. In the beginning, it was very important for me for overcoming the binging cycle to be able to feel like I could eat all I wanted and to finally give myself permission to do that. That's key, I think.
Yeah.
Did you find that as well? You need to give yourself permission to eat and not feel guilty about eating.
Yeah.
So important. But it wasn't all roses and butterflies and rainbows from there. I mean, for me, I find that I have trigger foods, and they're generally foods that don't make me feel good. So things like nuts and seeds. I had a problem with freeze-dried corn before, you guys saw, because that shit is good, okay? It is good. It's like crack. Seriously, it's very addictive.
It looks good.
You know what? Keep it that way. It's easier that way, trust me. But there's foods. We each have trigger foods, I find. That, for me, the foods that I tend to binge on or have in the past, I don't do this anymore, but they're the foods that make me feel less optimal, usually nuts and seeds. That's why I find them so personally addictive for me, and I tend to avoid them because they don't make me feel good, and they bring me back to those days of eating unhealthy foods where I would use it to numb myself out, and afterwards I still would feel like shit after a binge, right? You feel really terrible inside. It's not all mental. It's a lot of it is physical.
It's physical.
Yeah.
Exhaustion.
Exactly.
Comatose.
Yeah, exactly. You go into a food coma. So those are the reasons that I avoid certain foods, nuts and seeds, right? Because they just perpetuate that cycle and they make me feel that way, and I never want to feel that way. And I personally don't feel that way on any fruit and vegetable, which is, I guess, lucky for me.
Yeah.
I know it's not the same for everyone. So after all of that being said in both of our stories, what has personally helped you overcome this binging? I mean, it's always a journey, okay? It's not like one day the binging just ends and magically you're all better and everything's fine. It's not really that way. Right?
No, it's not. For me personally, I'm still on a journey with binging. I even left the high carb lifestyle for a month and I was eating everything in moderation. And this was recently, this wasn't that long ago. And I thought, because the high carb lifestyle, I was still binging, and I was like, if I'm still binging and I'm missing out on all this life, maybe I just need to eat everything. So it was kind of like an experiment, and I ate everything in moderation for a month, and then I binged after that month, and I binged on, you guys, honestly, you don't even want to know like what I binged on. And then it inspired me to come back. It was like, you know, even when I do binge, I do feel a lot better when I'm eating high carb and on a healthy lifestyle. So I came back right away, and I feel really good being back. But it's not totally over. I have to be present with myself, and things that help me are having a lunch and then, or no, having a breakfast and then not eating until lunch and then not eating until dinner, and after dinner, that's it. So eat 3 times a day. This morning we ate durian, and it was enough for breakfast and lunch.
It was a lot of durian.
And it was amazing. But it's like, that's my breakfast and lunch. I'm not gonna like continue eating all throughout the day, because then that can set up a binge cycle for me. So to have those 3 distinct meals has really been helping me.
It helps with your digestion as well.
Oh my God.
It really, really does. It's so much easier to digest your food when you wait in between meals. And that's not restriction. I just want to say that is not restricting. She's not saying I absolutely cannot eat between meals.
No.
You're full after a meal.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, I'm
yeah,
full. If
right.
I'm like, I need to eat something, I will, you know, if I need a snack, I'll eat it. But I like to call it a volume eater, where I like to eat a lot of food.
Yeah.
That's one reason I love the high carb lifestyle, because I can eat a lot of food.
Yeah.
So I like to eat like a big portion of food. So I'm satiated.
Yeah.
I'm good to go.
Yeah, yeah.
And then another thing that really helps me is not beating myself up.
Self-love.
Understanding that this is a journey, and every time I fall off, I tell this to myself and other people for other things, and I have to like, it's for everything in life. Anytime I fall off, it's just an opportunity to get right back on.
Yeah. And learn.
And learn.
Learn
and
grow.
The sooner I can get back on after I've fallen off, it's like, eventually, I know that eventually I'm not even going to have to worry about this anymore.
Takes time.
It takes time.
It's a journey.
And it's a journey, and I've been on this journey with it for 8 years, and maybe it'll be another 8 years, maybe 16 years. I don't know. I know that one day, like, it's not going to be an issue, because I've moved through other things in my life. I've moved through drug addiction, alcoholism, cigarette addiction. This is just another thing.
Exactly.
But the challenging thing with food is you eat every day.
Exactly.
You eat multiple times a day.
Yeah, so it's not like, something you can avoid or just drop altogether, right? It's not like that.
It's not like that. But definitely self-kindness, and then just being conscious of eating habits and patterns, and making various little changes. Like, I don't eat nut butters. That's a trigger.
A trigger, exactly. Yeah. So I think it's finding your trigger foods. It's finding the foods that you tend to binge on. And I know there's going to be a question asked, what about dates? Because I've heard it so many times. It's easy to binge on dates. You may need to just portion yourself, and I'm not saying restrict in any way, but if you know you're tempted with some sort of food, don't leave it all just lying around out in front of you, and check in with yourself. Eat as much as you feel you would need to feel full. 500 to 1,000 calories, whatever you need, whatever you require in your body. But then check in and go, okay, how do I feel? Wait 10 minutes, drink some water, relax. So it's really about not leaving yourself in those situations where you will be tempted, right? And being present and in tune with your body. And I think something that's helped me is finding a practice where I can feel in tune with my body. Because like we said, what does that even mean, in tune with your body? For me, that's yoga all the way. When I do yoga, I feel my body in a way that I never had before. And it's the practice that I really personally needed to just get inside my body and find out what it wants and what it needs, and to be able to listen to my hunger signals and find out that I didn't even need to eat as much as I was eating before, and actually it was doing me more harm than good. So I feel like it's finding that practice, and that may be an individual thing.
I can completely resonate with that. Honestly, finding fitness, and just like, for me right now it's gym classes, but I've definitely done my fair share of at-home workouts. It's completely transformed my life. As the years go by, I feel better and better in my body. And it's like I was saying about having like a breakfast, a lunch, and a dinner. When you're working out, like, you don't want to be super full. You know, so it really helps. Like, even doing yoga, like, I don't want to eat for a few hours before I do yoga. Like, I want to be, you know,
light. You want to feel light.
Light.
Exactly.
So definitely practices like yoga and fitness and stuff like that,
meditation,
as well as,
if that's for you,
as well as paying attention to your thoughts in your mind, and what's going on. And you know, sometimes it's uncomfortable to sit with yourself, and I think that being able to have food and just continually consuming food, it's like, it's comforting. It feels good.
That's why we do it.
It feels good, and sometimes it's okay to feel uncomfortable and to sit there with yourself.
And to process those emotions as well. I really feel that. It's because they're going to come up, especially when you eat more raw foods. The emotions, you can't keep numbing them down. They're going to come up, and you're going to have to deal with them eventually. So I think it's really important to learn to love ourselves, because this is something that I've been working towards. And I mean, it's okay, it's a journey. It's definitely been a struggle. Loving yourself as you are, especially when you're not where you want to be, it's one of the hardest things that you can do. That's no joke, okay? It takes time, it takes consistency. It's not gonna happen overnight. It takes months, years, whatever it takes. For me, it's years, definitely. But you cannot hate yourself to a body you love. You can't. You can't hate yourself to the point where you're going to be your greatest version, where you're going to be the healthiest you, the happiest you. It doesn't work that way. So if you are binging and hating yourself because of it, you might be binging because you hate yourself. And I'm not saying you have to be really thrilled with where you're at if you're not happy with where you are, but you at least need to learn to accept yourself where you are so that you can move forward from that point. And I feel like practices, like what we're talking about, the fitness, yeah, get out there. Go for a run, go for a jog, walk if you have to, do yoga, find something where you feel like you're honoring your body and you feel better in your body. And then try to focus on positive aspects if you can. Okay, if you look in the mirror and you hate yourself and all you can think about is the fact that you're binging and you feel so weak and powerless over your food, focus on small things that are positive in your life. One thing at a time, and it takes 17 seconds of thinking a certain thought or pattern of thought before you start to attract more like thoughts. So have you ever noticed when you focus on something really terrible, like I'm binging, I hate myself, I can't believe I'm so weak, I can't believe I'm so powerless, it just spirals. And it seems to get worse and worse and worse, but it hasn't in that moment, but it's your mind. So you've got to turn it the opposite way and spiral upwards.
Yeah. And it's such a process. When I first began to awaken to what was actually going on in my thoughts, it was like I was bombarded by negative thoughts about parts of my body that I didn't like. Yeah. And it was this constant replay, no matter where I was, who I was with, what I was doing, who I was talking to, always in the back of my head. Parts of my body I didn't like, this awful focus of like negativity, and it was like,
it's overwhelming.
I was like, I'm doomed.
Yeah.
Where I want to be mentally and where I am, and this gap, it almost brings tears to my eyes right now, just because it was such like, I didn't know how I was going to get there, but it was just in every moment, in every second, coming back to like practicing being conscious, aware, knowing that those thoughts aren't who you are, that you can move into where you want to be, and it's continual coming back to that. Yes. And eventually it starts to open up, and eventually you do move into that person, and it's incredible. It is. Consistency is the name of the game. Yep. With exercise, with food, with thoughts, with if you do meditation, with any practice in your life, it's daily consistency with it. Crucial.
And it might not feel like it's getting better because consistency works slowly. But I feel like something that's really important is journaling as well. Writing down your thoughts and feelings. And that might not be for everybody, but you can at least see your progress. If you write it down, you won't forget, right? You can look back and see, okay, this is how far I've come. And then it helps you to start focusing on the positive more. But binging is a journey, and it takes time, and it doesn't happen overnight. But it is worth it. No,
so worth it. And
worth it, very worth it.
Eating clean and healthy is amazing. It feels good, and
feeling good.
And if you can do it healthfully, you know, eat all that you care for. Yeah. Know yourself, be authentic with yourself, and it's just amazing.
Yeah. And I think that's the message right there. Yeah. That sums it all up with what we're here to talk about today. Okay, so now that we've talked about all of this and the topic of binging, where can everybody find you?
I have a YouTube channel, Divine Bag of Cells. Thank you. It's all about food, fitness, healthy mental state, and I'm really about like authenticity, so I really share everything that's going on, and I try to inspire that way and like really connect to the struggles of being a human, and I don't really hide anything, so that's good. You can find me there, connect with me on Instagram, Divine Bag of Cells, and we should have a link probably in the description.
Yeah, I'll put all the links in the description as well. Oh, and if you like this video, give us a thumbs up, please. And tell us your thoughts and your story. If you have any input at all on this topic of binging, please comment below, because we're here together to connect together and to discuss it together. So we always want to hear what you guys have to say. So that's that, and thank you so much for watching. If you want more of this, please subscribe to 40BelowFruity, my channel, and please also subscribe to Star's channel, and we will catch you guys next time. Cheers.